Good morning students, welcome to online class. Hope you are keeping well by the grace of God. So students, today I am going to teach you English literature from your English reader book, and I have already started the analysis of the stories and poems or the critical studies based on the stories and poetries. Already I have started. So guys, today I have selected the story chapter number 2 in your reader book, The Signal Man by Charles Dickens. So guys, I have already taught you this chapter and you are quite aware about the characters of the chapter. There are two characters we find in the story. One is the narrator or the protagonist, and the second, the signal man, the main character of the story who regulates the entire incident or story. So actually, what message the author Charles Dickens he wants to convey to the readers through this story Signal Man, or through this unnatural character of a person who is here we find Signal Man. So the story, it is actually based on fear, uncertainty, isolation, stress, madness, which we find in the story through the character of Signal Man. So the author Charles Dickens, he wants to say to the readers, or he wants to convey to the readers, that often stress or strain or workload, these are the factors. Those factors often make a person in a state of madness, or these factors often take the person to the state of madness or uncertainty, fear, which we find in the character of Signal Man. Actually, the Signal Man, here we see, if we analyze his character, we find that he is an intense responsible person. We observe an intensity in the Signal Man or his work. He is too responsible person, not irresponsible, too responsible person, and he is quite serious about his duty, about his job, about his work, and he wants to provide full security to the train and the passengers of the train, the driver of the train, and the crew, the entire crew of the train. So that is why he doesn't want to leave any sort of irresponsible activity, He wants himself to be an intense, loyal and responsible person. Whatever the work or duty he is provided by the railway or the railway department, he wants to execute his work or the duties or his responsibilities entirely. That means to the extreme point. He doesn't want to keep any loophole of his job or of his work. That is why it is out of strain or stress. The Signal Man, he is in a state of madness, or we can say that he has become a psychological patient. He has become a psychological patient. That is why often he sees that sort of shadow or a sort of figure. It is haunting him, and he narrates all the things, everything, whatever he observes, whatever he witnesses. He narrates everything to the narrator. He depicts each and every minute fact to the narrator or the protagonist. Or maybe the protagonist or narrator, maybe he is Charles Dickens himself. Often critics says, or critics they do say, that probably here Charles Dickens himself is the narrator. So if Charles Dickens himself is the narrator, then we can say that it is an autobiographical story of Charles Dickens. And in my previous lecture, guys, if you recollect, if you remember, I told you that Dickens is the author of Victorian era, the 19th century England. And 19th century, it witnesses the period of technology, science, the period of progress, the period of exploration, the period of discovery. So that is the period, that means the Victorian era. It was the period of literature. Many authors, many poets, they emerged with their talents during this time, during Victorian era in England, that is 19th century England. So Dickens, Charles Dickens, he was one of the authors during the time. He was one of the novelists during Victorian era.